Hey guys, gonna try and give a quick rundown on how to set up Laravel 5 on Semaphore CI. Um, continuous integration testing is pretty important these days, and Semaphore makes it freaking easy. It's just really easy. So the first thing we're gonna do is set up a new Laravel app. So Laravel new Semaphore demo, and while that's cooking, let's go over to GitHub here and make a new repository for our app. And get that cooking. Okay. So while that's still going, let's look at what Semaphore gives us. So this is the main dashboard page, we'd say. And let's look at our project. So this is a side project of mine, and you can see that these little badges on the side that say passed, 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 failed. If you've ever seen a project that's got build badges, passing or failing, tells you what version it is, they're using an integration service like this that runs their PHP unit or RSpec or whatever it might be against the application. And then, depending on the output, if it passes or fails, we'll update a badge. Just so the public or whoever knows that the developer has considered testing, and right now the thing passes tests. So, what we're going to do is we're going to set that up, and just to kind of show you what each build looks like. So, you have these commands here, and then you have the output of the various commands. So right now we're just running PHP unit, and this is against Laravel, so it's not too bad. Let's see if we're done cooking here. Okay, sweet. Let's go into here and set up a Git repo. Init git add and git commit. And let's go ahead and add in our remote information. So git remote add origin https github.com x remote. Okay, so I'm going to be using Sublime Text with the Git Savvy, and I'm just going to add a little step here that's kind of a workaround for one of the issues at Git Savvy. You might find it useful. So git remote set URL origin git at github.com gitx. And cool. So let's go ahead and open this up in Sublime. And close that out. And see what we got. So, first thing we're going to do is our simple demo app here is going to be based off of a SQLite database. So we need to reflect that. And we're just setting up the environment files here to reflect that fact. Okay, and so now let's just go ahead and stage all of that. Edited the env files for testing. Cool. Now, if you've ever run like Composer Project Create or Composer Clear Compile or something, you'll notice that it's kind of doing some stuff that's kind of, automatic for you. And this is where some of those things are defined. In your composer.json, you have the script section, and inside of it, we've defined a few things. This is just how it comes from Laravel. Artisan Clear Compiled, Optimize, setting up our environment files, generating keys. And to do our testing, we're going to add some more commands. Now they're going to reflect ones that are already here, but they're going to be namespaced differently, just so that we know that they're specific to continuous integration testing, that we might not want to run these typically, when you're installing a project or updating it in some way. You don't want to accidentally have these run. So let's just go ahead and define some new ones. CI env setup, and that's literally just going to be this. And now we want to set up our database, and this is going to touch a SQLite database in the storage folder, as well as run migrations against it, just for an initial setup. So CI db setup, and so now we're going to come on, okay, just run touch storage, spell it right, database dot SQLite, and then PHP artisan migrate. Okay, and also we're going to need to do this because it's going to complain quite a bit if we don't do that. So we can add that to our env setup. PHP artisan key gener. Cool. So let's go ahead and also stage this as let's see, setting up CI build steps in composer.json. Cool. Okay, so that's set up. Now let's look at our tests. So example test. When you look here, what we're doing, and if you've watched Jeffrey Way's integrated API, this is pretty snazzy. So right now we're just taking the integrated object, we're visiting the home page and checking to see that the output is Laravel 5. And if you've run this before, that's what it comes out as. What we kind of want to do for this test, just to kind of use the database and do some more testing, I guess, just to kind of show that we can do it. Let's create a user and then act as that user to visit the front page. So we're going to say use app user, and then we're also going to want to put in these things right here that will help keep each test isolated from every other test as far as database is concerned. Because what can happen without this is that each time you run a test, say you create a user and 5 posts, and then want to see, if the page shows the post count or something, you're going to end up with a lot of cruft in the database that you don't want. So these set up some transactions and migrations to roll back and reset the database each time a test is run, just so it keeps pollution down. So we're going to go ahead and set those up. So use without, and then use state, spelled wrong, use, and then that. Excellent. Now let's set up a user. I can spell right. Okay, and then okay, so this should work. I'm not gonna make any promises. This is pretty damn straightforward, and it should work. So what we're gonna do now is stage this and say set up test for user on front page. Good to go. Now, we're going to need to run migrations and get this stuff going, as well as set up the database. So, new file. Bastards. Okay. Now, let's hope this goes right. So, Laravel, migrate. Excellent. And I don't want to have that open. So, let's go down here and see if we can run PHP unit locally. Sweet, everything passes. Okay. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Now, let's push this to GitHub. And hopefully it all works. And it did. So let's check that out. Make sure that works. Excellent. Okay. So what we're going to do is go in here and look in this composer file to see which actually, you know what we didn't do is I believe this is going to contain that database. We don't want that. Not there. Storage. Oh no, okay. It didn't do it. Excellent. I don't know why I didn't do it, but I didn't do it. Okay, so we have this. Now, let's go over to Semaphore and set this up. So I'm going to click on Add First Project, and it's going to ask you, where do you want to get this from? GitHub or Bitbucket? It's on GitHub, so let's go to GitHub. And it's going to load all your projects up and ask you which one you want to get. So we're going to say Semaphore, and then there's the first one it comes up with. Coolio Master. And then now, if you have multiple accounts, like I've got my personal account and my enterprise organization thing account, wherever you want to put it is up to you. I'm going to put it on my personal account just to see how that goes. And while it's doing that, let's go look at our commands that we're going to be using to set this up. The ones you define down here. So, CIN setup and CIDB setup. You need to remember those. So now we're on the project settings page, and we just need to make a few decisions here. Since Laravel 5.1 requires, I believe, PHP 5.5.9, let's go ahead and select PHP 6, just so that we can have that there. And now we're going to go down here and customize build. And this is where we're going to add in those commands that we put in earlier. So composer run CIM, that setup? Yeah. Okay, and then we're going to pass a flag to this and say no interaction, and then verbose as hell. And then composer run CIDB setup, and again, no interaction. And so this is going to set up our environment and then set up our database and then run PHP unit against it. So we're going to save that and check it over one more time, make sure everything looks good, and I believe it does. So let's say build with these settings. And now the magic happens. We're going to see our latest commit, who signed off on it, username, the git commit ID, the branch number, and the date. Then you see the status, build number, the amount of time that you're into the build with, option to stop the build if you realize there's a mistake and you want to stop it, you can do that. Then down here you see this, composer install, composer run PHP unit. Every time you run a command, it's going to give you the terminal output. So right now we're installing Laravel, and that should take about a minute, I believe. Wait for that to go. Say it's in progress. So far, so good. And hopefully everything goes well. this can take a few minutes. I've done a few that take upwards of 3 or 4 minutes, depending on how many dependencies you have and how long your tests are and what all you're doing. Because it's having to go through and get each one of these dependencies. I think we're nearing completion of this step. Okay. Excellent. Okay, so our first test passed. How awesome is that? And we can go here and tweet that. And then so this is the badge you can get. Now this really isn't that important, but let's show you how to use that. Go back here to Sublime and grab this README and just add some stuff to this README. How to set up Laravel 5 on Semaphore CI and stage this. What's staged? I did stage that database. So let's see. Okay, so we got rid of that database. Cool. Now push. My fingers are flying everywhere. We didn't commit, so let's commit. Added. Shit. Added build badge to readme.md and sign that and push it. What in the world? Hopefully that all works. Cool. And let's see if that bad boy shows up. Okay, so it's pending. Let's see. So that pending status depends on if it's building or not, I believe. And once it passes, that should reflect that. The next, well, let's go ahead and watch it again. It's like watching paint dry. But first few times you do it, it's kind of exciting because this is code you're running on your computer and you're automating tests and stuff and sending it out into the world and having somebody else verify that it's correct. I think it's awesome. But that's that. And something else you can do from Semaphore is set up deployments. So if you wanted to build this and then send it to like Heroku or DigitalOcean or something upon successful build, you can totally do that. You just set up a hook and give it some API keys, and then set up your project on the other service like Heroku or DigitalOcean, and just tell it what to do with the code once it gets it. So excellent. You can see it passed. And let's see if that badge is set up. Passed. Okay. So how good does that feel? We set up a simple app locally, did some testing locally, and then pushed it to a continuous integration service and had them build it for us and give us this cool little badge. I can't really say enough good things about Semaphore. A bunch of very dedicated guys who put out some very, very good software. Maybe next time I will show you some secrets about this setup deployment. How to get that set up on Heroku or DigitalOcean or Linode or something. But until then, I hope you guys learned something, and use this stuff, because it's important. Testing and letting folks know that you write tests and that you pass tests is, I won't say crucial, but it's important. So until next time, happy hacking.